Hello and welcome to another awesome Sunday. Today, as always, we have a wide variety of casters. So today, it's not only gonna be me and Stool as the broadcast director, but Stool is gonna still be the broadcast director. I'm gonna be the desk host for today. We have the desk analysts and commentator Chamanda and Kren also today. So it's not gonna be only me talking. And why don't you guys just say hi? I
Yeah, yeah, let's do it. Hi guys, Cradden here. Glad to be back. I enjoyed your solo effort last week, Pyro, but yeah, good to be alongside you and to bring back the team that was in my living room casting about 2 months ago.
Oh yeah, that is true. Now we are all spread across. Oh well, at least I'm spread across the whole continent again.
Thin triangle.
Yeah, I could probably just nip down to Cradden's in about 10 minutes if I wanted to.
Yeah. Tell you what, we've probably got time before Q2 if you're that interested.
Ooh.
Nah, I've got my pajamas on. I'm not that scouse where I go outside everywhere in my pajamas.
Nice. Yeah,
Is it
tradition for New Year's.
is it warm where you guys are living right now?
It's all right. It's been very good the last 2 weeks. We like to complain in Britain about the weather, but it's been fairly warm, about 15, 20. No rain today. It's been fairly clear. So yeah, definitely walking around in pajamas weather late into the evening. How about you?
Oh well, for me it's currently 31 degrees, so cool, very warm. I'm
Okay, brilliant one up.
I'm sitting here in underwear. Luckily, we do not have cameras on, so.
Yeah, the VLF one OnlyFans account can be linked separately.
Yes, for only $5.99, you know.
Yeah, people have to pay extra for the Hodgson pics. He's our premium product.
All right. So now finally that I have you guys here again, and I don't have to cringe at myself, rewatching me casting. I've rewatched it for like I feel like 15 times and cringed at myself at certain occasions where I said things. Luckily today, I'm only the lead while there's no racing going on, as you guys can, or you, Creden, can have the lead when the race is on, as you have more experience with that, and I'm very happy that you get the lead on that again. Right, but let's get into that. Today we have the US Grand Prix, or the USA Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was actually a shout from Brandon. He made it very clear it was USA Grand Prix. He was definitely sure about that one and definitely didn't want the A taken off. Just thought I'd remind you guys.
Well, maybe he didn't know if the US at the end of the US or at the start of the US, you know.
Australia too.
USA, as our production is saying. Lovely. The track name is not called USA Grand Prix or anything like that. It's Circuit of the Americas, because Americans love to put in American or America in all of the stuff. So there we have it as well. It's gonna be an interesting race, fairly known as Hodgson's win. I mean, as many say, China is his Hodgson's win. I just forgot that last season. I think Hodgson was in the top three. Might have been. Not sure about that one anymore. Something Hodgson is irrelevant. Um, I'm very sorry. um, we're in a lovely location of Texas in Austin, where it's known as if you have a different opinion than the other guy, you will just get shot. So luckily, the drivers wear helmets and don't have a risk to get injured doing that. Well, also some may say you can just get yeeted off the track.
Yeah,
Um,
that was actually one of my first experiences in VLF1. So I'm thinking back to season one, like 2017, 2018, or whenever we did it. One of my first races was the USA Grand Prix, or the US Grand Prix in season one. I was doing okay around the first corner. I started off midfield. I'd in fact gained a couple positions with a rocket start. Then netcode happened, and Travis made me see the Lord and Savior after sending me into a wall at 200 miles an hour. So it's yeah, the US circuit, the Circuit of the Americas, it could get very close, particularly in Sector 1. I'm sure we'll talk more about that later.
Yes, actually, the first corner is already an interesting one as it is uphill, and you can easily miss out on the braking point because you do not see the corner until the moment you have to brake. So if you don't have any reference car in front of you, it's just you have just to know where to brake. And even if you have cars in front of you, still tend to misjudge the braking points, especially in VL, where we just don't want to brake. I have experienced that, and that even though it might not be USA, it was in Austria, but that's a different case. But yeah, besides enough memeing about the track and America, I'm very sorry. Moving on to the next point, what I already hinted on last week, but I wasn't sure yet, is that Sunny is officially the world driver champion because Travis isn't gonna be here again. He decided that trucks are better at driving than Formula One cars, and I wouldn't even say anything against it because who wants to race a fucking Codemasters game when you can race cool cars in real life, even though it might be a bus, but who cares? With that, anyone happy, confused? You guys, I don't know, Chamana, maybe Travis is your teammate. Are you sad that Travis isn't world driver anymore, or do you have any feelings regarding that?
Obviously, I wanted to do what I could to make Travis World Drivers Champion, but work and real life obviously takes precedent. And I think once Travis took this and he was sort of away more and more, we kind of saw this coming. So it's not really come to hit hard. It's just a shame that his sort of reign, if you will, comes to sort of an anticlimactic end.
Yeah, it is sad to see, especially as it wasn't that much of a fight for Sunny, as Travis just didn't turn up, and so it was just a free win for him. Sad that also Calm during that time most of the time wasn't here or was just having a bad race, so not even him contesting, you know. But I mean, it is fair enough. I mean, he still managed to get quite a lot of points and being close to Sunny in the driver championship. But I mean, really, except for that. Oh wait, first, sorry, Karen, I completely forgot about you. Forgot about you for a second. What's your take on that on Sunny's drivers championship?
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's passed me by. He's done so well this season. Obviously, I like doing the stats. When comparing the historical points total of a lot of drivers, like me and Charmander have built up points over multiple seasons, and we've been fairly consistent. We've had battles over time. Sonny has just absolutely blown everyone away, particularly this season. He's been the one putting in the practice. He's made the right tactical moves. He was seen as like a really aggressive, reckless driver, but he's matured a lot. He's got a lot better at racing, and he's won, because I've got it in front of me, 12 races this season. So he's well deserving of being a champion. The only complaint I'd have is that it sucks to see the title being decided off the track. Obviously, with it's unfortunate for Trav, and he has to put himself first. We're saying that Sonny's the winner, not based on his win last week, but based on the fact that Trav can't close the gap mathematically. So I like seeing everything decided. Sorry for Liverpool fans watching, like the Premier League was today. But yeah, it's great to see Sonny take the Drivers' Championship he deserves. He can now put himself amongst the company of Flyer, Travis, and Calm as the greats of VLF1. So yeah, well played, my man.
Yeah, no, we even though I always meme, or I think we always meme on it that it's gonna be a boring race if Sunny's just at the front and dominating that race and winning again, and it felt just like Hamilton winning all the past years. It's just a boring, and we just want somebody else to see winning. It is still impressive to put out that kind of performance, as you said, and though it might have been sometimes a free win given to him, it is still an accomplishment to get first, and with the amount of free time between him and second place most of the time. If there isn't a side dogs, which we will come back to him later, then most of the time it was just sunny, and then there's most of the time even a whole pit stop between him and second place. So it was quite dominated. And it is still quite impressive, and especially with the game treated him really well as well, because we know Codemasters like to choke sometimes. But for him, everything went right, and except for the couple times he missed out, but I think it was just because he couldn't make it. A very deserved world champion. We're just gonna have to see if that performance is gonna pay out, if there is gonna be more people that's gonna contest him. But I feel like we just have to see and wait when this will happen again. If the likes of Travis is coming back to racing him, if maybe Calm is up to his performance again. Zydox now, if he gets a seat in season 6, which I highly doubt that he won't. So yeah, it will be very interesting to see. And I feel like sorry, I cut you off there. What did you say? Production? Okay, so it seems like I've talked enough, and I'm just gonna give it now to Creden, as he will guide us through qualifying and will take up the lead from me, and I will just come back to my topics later on.
Yeah, but you'll be with us throughout, Sandro. Don't worry. So, with there being 15 drivers on the lock-in sheet today, obviously we can have 20 drivers maximum in any given race. Q1 isn't strictly necessary to weed anyone out to cut us down to a top 15. So we're going to be running with. In fact, it looks like we've only got 12 drivers in the lobby today. So one thing it's probably worth doing is let you know about what drivers are here, what drivers haven't made it. So the one I'm going to go to first, Charmander, what's happened to Red Bull? It looks like it was just Miffy locked in, and I can't see him on the track at all. What's happened, man?
From what I can see, one, he doesn't like the track, but two, his neighbour has taken some power tools to his phone line, and a lot of times phone line contains internet, and so yeah, it's not great to have 0 Red Bull cars on the grid. But we're at that point of the season where it does start to die out a lot of times. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones. I'll make another Premier League comparison. It's like when you see the last few matches of a season where nothing matters, and then people just turn up in like big costumes or like just have a laugh. And it feels like it's in that stage of transition at the moment. People are turning up, but it's not like the big championship focus. A lot of the positions are already decided. Obviously, Sunny is now the World Drivers' Championship, and only Mathematics can just watch and laugh in the background as he collects that title. But yeah, it's we'll see what drivers do. We'll see if there's any changes as the positions get locked towards the closing race of the season, which is going to be in Sao Paulo in 2 weeks' time. Pyro, going over to you. Obviously, you're the man in orange for captaincy. I think you had Scott locked, and you've got Franklin joining as a sub. I don't think Scott made it either. Are we seeing potentially internet issues as well from our man Scott?
Well, with Scott, it's always a thing. I don't know. We have Discord server going on in McLaren, and I always ask my drivers who is up to racing. And interestingly enough, I checked it up today. When he said again he can't make it. 9 out of 11 messages out of that I messaged him, he said yes, he can make it. And out of these 9 times, only 7 times he didn't turn up. Only 2 times he turned up. So I don't know what's going on in that guy's brain, but it's hard to manage him. And when he races, he's not known for putting up points. So I will see what I'm gonna do. I have high hopes for Franklin though, so he's my hope for today's race.
Yeah, Franklin's generally turned up well. He's I'd call him good midfield now. He's probably a bet to get the lower side of the points whenever he races. He's not as prone to incidents as he was when he first joined. I think I started racing against him in like season 2. We had a particularly turbulent Monaco against each other, but that's more Monaco than Franklin. But yeah, he's getting really consistent. I liked it when he was with the Ferrari stable in season 4, but he's been moved around as a sub and certainly found his home. Alex, I'm going to ask you about Mercedes here because they had a full roster coming in. Obviously, Blaze, as the captain, is there for the senior Mercedes team. They've got Somther and Crispy repping Williams colours. Now, we've been a bit privy to Calm saying that he maybe couldn't make the qualifying sessions, but he could be there in the race. What are your thoughts on Calm, and is he back? We saw him obviously dominate a lot of F1. He's still the most successful driver, but he had a lot of incidents, especially on the new game. Has he improved back to his old form? Do we still need to see a lot more from him? And most importantly, do you think he can score high points if he comes in for a last to first challenge? Go, Pyro. We'll ask you instead. Do you think Combs is he back, or is he just competing for good midfield right now?
I feel like at the moment he's just enjoying being back and racing again. It doesn't seem like he's tryharding as much as he used to, or just competing at the front. I feel like he's just having his fun and likes to do the battles as we've seen last week, and then sort of just vibe the rest of the race. I'm sure even while vibing, he's usually really fast, and you can see him somewhere in the top 5. But I reckon now his Sunday driving and Sunny's tryhard driving is a little bit different, so he will just be somewhere in the top 5, but not pushing as much. And I feel like that's all we're gonna see the rest of the races. They're up and coming for this season, at least.
Yeah, Com's got a nice little position at the moment where he's not fighting to defend anything in the championship. He's just fighting for good points and almost for himself. When he's around, he needs to prove that he can challenge for the top positions he's used to fighting for. And he's got almost a couple of free hits now here in the USA, and in the final 2 races of the season in Mexico and in Sao Paulo. So I want to see him here. It would suck to see Com not racing later on, but we'll see if anyone joins later on as we get towards the race. Moving on through the teams, because I'm sort of spotlighting each project as we go through. One of the more consistent ones has been Ferrari. Glenn and Gaben have been there consistently for Ferrari's senior team. Between Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, they've got the second most points of any project. In fact, they've got more than the Aston Martin single team. Maka wasn't here last week, but he's here in the junior team. Alex, are we expecting anything crazy from these guys? Can they fight for a podium, or are they just like consistency and they'll be there whenever we see them?
I think there's definitely a chance of a podium, but I think their main strength, as you said, is that consistency. They'll turn up to every race, bosh out a performance, go home, job done. So I'm expecting a lot more of that. Not many mistakes, just seeing them consistently rising in the standings, especially when it comes to the race as opposed to the qualifying.
Yeah, well said. They've got the power of raising through the standings. The thing I like about Glenn and other drivers such as Crispy is they've got that consistency, which really gives them the marathon effect over the course of a season. They can pick up middling points fairly regularly, so that even when things go wrong for them in one race, it still comes out well. I really want to see how well Ferrari do. Great to see Maka back. Gaben and Maka have won 2 races each this season, so they're not flying under the radar. They're strong. They just don't have the star pulling power of Sunny or Zydox. And speaking of Zydox, I'm going to ask Pyro how Hodgson's found a brain, because he's actually drafted what most people see as the stronger driver. He's taken Zydox into Haas this week with his first pick. We know Zydox is fast, but Pyro, do you think he's going to have any sort of communication with Hodgson? Do you think that's going to work out?
I mean, Zydox is a really good driver, and I would see Zydox the only one actually contesting Sunny at this point. And if Hodgson, I hope Zydox doesn't listen too much to Hodgson. Let's say it this way. Hodgson isn't a bad driver, but if there is gonna be team orders from Hodgson to Zydox, then I'm gonna get a little bit frustrated. But then again, I don't really know what strategy Hodgson is doing, as he's sometimes picking Zydox and then sometimes not. Will be just interesting to see. I just more hyped to see Zydox and Sunny not in the same team, as I wish that there is a fight between those two that I can hope for and hopefully get an exciting race out of it. More than whatever Hodgson is doing.
Okay, should be fantastic. We've got a couple more drivers to preview, but as our drivers are getting ready, they're getting into the paddock and they're about to come out for the first bit of competitive action this week. I've been derided recently for saying video in the sense of maybe 90s sending a projector into a hallway. So, courtesy of some cavemen scrolling on some stone tablets, we bring you this biblical text. In the United States of America. For this, the US Grand Prix, it's the 24th Grand Prix of this 26 race season. We're coming really close to the end now. This is race 109 overall, shout to that longevity. And looking like clear weather at the moment. We'll see if that holds up, of course. A lot of turbulence potential. Until the start of the race, look at this circuit. Sector 1 is going to be crazy with those undulating bends, turns 4 through 7, I believe. We're going to have 28 laps today. There are 2 DRS straights. Obviously, after turn 11, you could get a really nice jump up to turn 12 on that long straight. And of course, there could be a few incidents with cutting over corners, especially late on in the track. It's an anti-clockwise track. P1 starts right on the outside, and as Pyro mentioned earlier, we've got a bit of a hill to start with, which could bring everyone together at the start of lap 1, turn 1. Drivers hate it, commentators love it, should be fantastic. The last VL winners, Calm has taken everything on this track, apart from last season when Hodgson brought out a safety car with 3 laps to go and took all of the glory. So yeah, we've got everyone on screen now. The drivers have come out for Q2. It's a 15-minute session. We're just starting to see the timed laps at the moment. So we'll see who we can get on board with. Sunny at the moment is going to be the real focus. He's the newly crowned World Drivers' Champion. He's sitting there in the Racing Point, obviously the sub for Aston Martin on this game. And without a teammate this week, he doesn't have to worry about team strategy. He's not going to have double stacks in his way, and he just wants to absolutely meme on the competition and underline his win. Although if he crashes, it doesn't matter. Alex, what's been your impression of Sunny, either now or across the whole season of him being champion?
I think his main thing this season has been cutting out the mistakes. Last season, we knew he had pace, he was always up there, but this season he really has sort of drilled down. When he's in first, he will lead, and he's not going to make any silly mistakes, and it's been really refreshing to see that sort of development cycle of a relatively new driver.
Yeah, well said. He has developed. He's done the typical Verstappen into Hamilton into Vettel thing where he's become less aggressive over time. May have to wait a few years on Verstappen for that one, could be a bit premature. But he's just posted a 132.0, his third best of the 5 times that I've got on the board just now. Somther, of course, posting the fastest at the moment. On board with Hodgson at the moment. So, yeah, Pyro, just give us a look through what Hodge is doing. Is there anything you can point out about how he's driving, or just even talk us through a few of the corners he's going through?
Yeah, no, Hodgson obviously is on a fast lap currently. He wants to take the corners as narrow as possible. This track is interesting because in Sector 2, we could have seen a little bit, especially with the fast left, right. You want to take as much curb as possible, but at the same time, try not to invalidate, which is quite easily to do that. In sector 3, after the long straight, the corners he's doing right now, it is fairly easy, but also fairly easy to lose your car or just overshoot, especially this corner right here he just did, if you're not careful enough. Then the next corners, especially here, it is hard because also you want to carry as much speed as possible for that curb, but it's so easy to overshoot and invalidate the time, and also lose a lot of time if you slow down too much. And Hodgson has done it very great, and I think put it on P3 with a great time, even though he feel like he could have gained a little bit more in the last sector as he slowed down a little bit more than necessary. But as I said, sometimes you want to go for more safety in the last corners. Then you just see Glenn retire.
Yeah, tell us about how that one happened, Pyro, and don't bring up any bad memories.
I mean, it only happens in Abu Dhabi for me. But I feel like it's similar to what I try sometimes to do, is to not lose a lot of time while going into the pits, and then either oversteering into the pits or understeering, which happened to me a lot more. So I feel like the same happened to Glenn right now. He understeered into the pits and just into the wall, meaning he's out completely.
Yeah, it's a giant meme to talk about it this way, but the entrance to the pits is a double apex corner. You have to slow down, and then the speed limit is after the second corner. So Glenn's been totally caught out by that. Yeah, that's not great that's not a good look for a project captain. Although I think the hilarious thing here is that his time is currently 7th best. So Blaze, Monty, and Shadow might still have to beat Glenn's time to get into Q3, but more on that in the 7 minutes we've got left. One team we haven't looked at too much is the Alpine, which are now driving in yellow Renault colours. Currently not performing too well on this circuit. They've got the slowest 2 times, but Monty's given us some more. He's production seamlessly switching to him. Shout it still. Coming up to the final corner now. Let's see if he goes into the box or gets a new lap going. I want to see how he performs here. We'll come back to his time later on. But yeah, Alex, when it comes to Monty and Shadow, can they be looking at potentially changing up their positions in the draft? Do they do they want to stay together, or are they looking to maybe get a lucrative new deal with the Real Madrids and PSGs of Red Bull and Ferrari?
I think Shadow is probably going to stay on as captain. I think you'd be silly not to. Once you've got into that good position, then it's a bit silly to give it up. Now, with him doing that, it depends whether he wants to develop himself alongside Monty and like really just sort of develop as a team, or whether he really wants to start charging up in places and maybe bring someone big in the draft on.
Yeah, it's in these next few weeks when we start seeing performances and top 10 locks that we start talking about draft positions. Pulling up the driver standings at the moment, the best drivers just outside the top 10. Shadow Hopper's there, he's in P12 at the moment, with a 23-point gap to make up. It's unlikely he's getting into the top 10 in the next 3 races, so Shadow, if he wasn't staying on as captain, would be a perfect pickup. Monty as well, he's doing well, he's got 42 points. He's consistent, but he's one of the best tactical minds. And if you ever underestimate him, don't go against him on ACC, because he'll then sort of blow your time away. Monty doing the wise thing that Glenn didn't, and how to put this going into the pit lane, it's crazy. Wonders abound. So yeah, that's a sort of quick rundown of all of the drivers and all of the teams that are battling today. Hopefully we do see a few more of them as we get towards the end of qualifying and get any latecomers who can try and do a last to first challenge going into the race. Shadow, of course, still on the track at the moment. He had his time on the outlap, time in the pits. He's got a lot of improvement to do, so I'll take us through these last few corners as he goes through Sector 3. You've got to keep the throttle pretty hard here and turn in at the right point to invalidate on that second last corner. And from a limited experience, second or third, but you really want traction coming out this last corner. Shadow's done that pretty well, kept himself valid, jumps up to P6. ahead of, dare I say it, Sunny, so won't stay that way, but nice time. Alex, when it comes to tyres in Kota, Q2 obviously you lock the tyres for the start of the race, but everyone's on softs at the moment. Do you reckon that's a tactical choice, or is everyone just missing out on the mediums and just picking the fast ones?
It does depend. Weather could play a factor into it. The Texan weather, as we saw recently with them getting several feet of snow suddenly out of nowhere. It's very interesting to see that everyone's on the softs. I know Crispy usually every time we've seen him in Q2, he has preferred the softer tyres. So I don't know whether it's everyone just deciding to suddenly match him and try and push him out, thinking, oh, he might not be good enough on these tyres. Let's try and get rid of him. Which, looking at the times now, isn't really panning out. But it's an interesting decision because Kota is quite hard on the tyres, so we might see some interesting strategies come the race.
Yeah, I overheard Blaze talking before the race, and he mentioned it might have been a medium-hard race. Of course, the last time we ran this, Sodger's win came in intermediate conditions. So it's been a while, and maybe a different game before we've seen drivers look back to different strategies and work out what they had. They'll be downloading new setups on 2020 when they went back to it, and they'll be hopefully doing some research independently, but you can't argue with a full field, the wisdom of the people, everyone going softs. It feels like they know something we don't, or like 12 coincidental mistakes have happened at the same time. So I think medium hard is now a thing of the past, given everyone's tyre lock. I want to see what happens going into the race. Now, Pyro, let's talk about standings. We've got 12 drivers here. Assuming that Blaze and Monty can beat out Glenn's time, one of them will may still be missing out on Q3 because 2 drivers will drop at this stage. What do you think? Do you favour Blaze or Monty, or do you have a reason for either?
If I think if one can do it, it could be Blaze, as Monty is usually not, like you said, more for the tactics and to put out the times in the race and gain most of the positions there, rather than having an one lap good stint. He's more out there if he has to be consistent, he can do that. On the other side, Blaze likes to invalidate a lot, as we've seen the last 2 laps now. So this is the second lap he tried to do a hot lap and invalidated again. I think this is the last time if he has enough fuel that he can go for another try. His tires are worn quite out now though, so it will be interesting to see. So maybe Monty now, after seeing Blaze invalidate multiple times. But if it's just a 1 lap sprint, I see Blaze beating out Monty.
Yeah, to be fair, with the amount of invalidations we're seeing, it might come down to Glenn beating out both cars. And I'm not certain, but I believe that means that Glenn beats out the other 2, so all 3 of them don't appear. One thing's for sure, though, Blaze has to improve his time. He's currently in P11. He's 2 tenths behind the ghost car of Glenn. And I think he might actually be double-dooted here. He's showing a red track to me here, which suggests that having invalidated on the final corner, he won't be able to improve his time because the current lap is invalid. So I believe this is an early confirmation that Blaze won't be in Q3. All eyes go to Monty, as Glenn's already gone, Blaze is already gone. We'd like to see 10 drivers in Q3, and it's on Monty to show us that that'll be the case. Alex, you okay to take us through his final lap?
Yeah, sure. So as he comes around the final bend, keeps it nice and tight, running wide there can set you back and invalidate both laps, as we saw with Brandon. Now he locks up coming into turn 1. That's really going to unsettle the rest of his lap. It's such a shame to see that early on. But let's see how he handles with this, taking the S's now. Really loose on the exit there, tried to keep the car under control, and he's coming over the famous corner where Vettel's suspension broke while he was in a Ferrari, which was quite a sight for many fans.
Cloud moment.
Coming down onto the real big back straight now, nice and tight, keeps it within the bounds of the track, and it's just open DRS, going as fast as you'd like, coming down into sector 3. Now this is the real technical part of the track. This is where a lot of the lap times made okay, and he locks at that front left again. That front left is going to be screaming for a break as he locks the front right as well. He's really being pushing the limits on this brake pedal, and his car's fighting him back. He runs very deep into that corner, and now if you get this line right, you can keep the throttle down. Don't really want to shift up too early. And does he keep it in? Just about on the white line. That's
Looking
a
close.
very cool, slight lock up on the inside again, coming across the line, and he just takes it.
Oh man, you love to see it. Yeah, cheers for taking us through that one, Alex. As you said, a few lockups. Respect to Monty for using the no ABS strategy. It's obviously hard to take off those assists and still get those fast times in. Anyone who's done that will know the difficulties we're talking about, but the mission was there. He's completed his primary objective, and he's got through with his boy Shadow Hopper to Q3. We like to group Glenn and Blaze here together on the caster desk quite a lot. They've had their foibles, they've had their interactions, and they've had their romantic subtext, if you believe certain commentary. But yeah, in this case, it's a bit of a bad one. They're both locked together in exiting at the Q2 stage. So Glenn through DNF and not knowing where a pit wall is. Blaze through not knowing where the track is and invalidating multiple times. So he'll get to have a nice little sit back. Glenn doing the same for his boys. He'll get to do a bit of coaching. Interestingly, both of these guys have now got 2 drivers to coach. Blaze has Crispy and Somther. Glenn has Gaben and Maka. Do you think that's a factor? Is it better, Pyro, do you think, for the captains to have gone so that they can Jeff for the other drivers?
I mean, better? I don't know. I don't think so. Especially because you want to start with your drivers at the front and maybe help them out if there comes a battle. But when you're out, it's also not that bad to help out the boys. You know, especially I feel like Blaze maybe a little bit more than Glenn is. I feel like Gabe and Maka already have a good knowledge. Glenn will probably be just a Jeff and tell everyone, or probably his boys, yes, this time is very good, or if there's an incident in front so they don't crash into him, more than just coaching them how they should really do the lap.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom, I'm sure, being shared in those calls. Or if history is to be believed, maybe a lot of table slams on the Merc call. If you know, you know. Now, moving into Q3 is the showdown. We've got a 12-minute session. Everyone definitely on the soft tyres. There's no debates this time. Not even Crispy would pull out the mediums here. And everyone's just got to set the fastest time. This decides the top 10 positions. This decides the grid for the start of the Grand Prix. There are no penalties, I've been told. So everyone's racing to find the best time that they can. And while we've been focusing on the eliminations side of Q2, we didn't get to focus as much on who performed the best, who got the best times. And the obvious answer is Sonny. He beat his competition, Gaben, by 0.7. Gaben, Crispy, and Somther have a really nice subtext because they were within 0.03 of a second in P2 through P4. So with Travis not here this weekend, Calm maybe not here for until the race, with other drivers away, Miffy not participating, you really start to see Gaben, Crispy, and Somther as the ones who are pretenders to Sonny's throne. Zydox was a 10th further back, Maka another 10th, and Hodgson a good half a second off of that challenging group. Alex, do you see any surprises, or is that sort of the expectation?
I think that's pretty much the expectation. I am slightly surprised that Zydox was so far off, but as we all know, each drivers have their own strengths and weaknesses in terms of track, so it just might be that the United States of America US Grand Prix isn't his forte. So we'll have to see. Qualifying is only part of the job, so we'll have to see who is quickest in qualifying, and then who, more importantly, can transition that pace into the race.
Yeah, lap 1 is going to be absolutely brutal. I've seen it firsthand, and thanks to commentary, we've seen it a lot second-hand as well. lap 1 and that first set of corners is going to be really crucial. It's hard enough to do sector 1 with going through the S's, but it's even harder with drivers alongside you jostling for position and the fury of the jungle drums of fighting in a race alongside them as well. We've got a shout that Somther invalidated the first part of his timed lap. 7 of our 10 drivers on time laps at the moment are remaining 3, 2 passes and Crispy on outlaps at the moment. Pyro, your boy Franklin's on an outlap on a timed lap at the moment. Any advice you can give to him from the stream?
Please don't crash it. It's also rare to see McLaren this season in Q3, as it didn't happen a lot. But I hope that he has a good time on the table, obviously. But I hope more than that he will just have a great race, because I'm always afraid that the McLaren boys don't finish the race. So I'm happy with the timings he's putting up currently, but I'm still anxious about the race, so we'll just have to wait and see. Who knows, maybe someone is pulling out a Ferrari today, so my nerves cannot handle another one.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a bit like watching, sitting next to a fan with a bottom of the league team. A few times you've just had Scott or Carlos DNF, and I've sat with you and had to be your emotional support as they've just let you down on track. But they've also had the good times. Carlos has done well in McLaren. I think Scott got points as well, so I might be wrong in that. I'm actually going to have to back that one up later on. But yeah, hopefully your boy Franklin can do well. He's got the track record, he's got points. Yeah, he's a guy you can have faith in when it comes to the track. Shadow Hopper, has he gone?
In the pits at least.
Yeah. Race director is showing him as a DNF with terminal damage, so apologies, it looks like we've missed that one. It's yeah, it's showing him in the pit lane, which is then a bit inconsistent because you'd expect terminal damage to be an incident on track, so we'll just sort of brush that under the carpet and say that Shadow Hopper won't be improving on his time. 132.0, comparing it against Q2, wouldn't really have got him anywhere near. In fact, he was faster in Q2 himself in P9, 131.9. So yeah, everyone's going to have the jump on him. Sunny leading with a 130.6, Crispy running in as well. He's going to put a 131.4 on the board. Okay, let's have a look, see who we can focus on now. We've got our boy Monty. He's invalid at the moment, but let's see if he can put a good next lap together. Yeah, Alex, is there any strategy for Q3? Is it just go all out every time, or is there anything you'd like to do with either fuel or tyre sets from earlier sessions?
So it really does depend how many tyres you got. If you've only got one set of fresh tyres, usually the strategy is set what we like to call a banker lap as your first lap on a used set of tyres, as we just see Monty locking up and avoiding the wall. Wishbone could say the same, but he keeps it in and goes into the pits avoiding any incident. But yeah, as I was saying, you really want to get a banker lap in, and that's where you keep it in lines, you don't invalidate it. You're still trying to go as fast as you can, but you're not taking any real risks doing it. Now, getting towards the end of Q3, this is where you want to give it the full beans, as low as fuel as you can get away with, fresh set of tyres, and that's where you take the real risks and really start to push the track limits for that sweet tense.
Yeah, it is very much risk management. And as you get closer to the end of Q3, it almost doesn't matter as much if you do your car in, because you've got the banker lap down. There's no future Q4 that you have to keep your car in condition for. And of course, most importantly, it's a virtual game, so you're not in any physical danger at all. So yeah, you've got guys just setting the banker lap and then going absolute YOLO when it comes to the final round. Now, my eyes were cast to the track then, because even though we were looking at Monty's heroic entrance into the pit lane and Hodgson's go around the track, I saw Somther and Crispy almost in double file going around the end of Q2. And with a big straight on the USA, it makes you think that maybe a toe could work. Pyro, do you think maybe we could see that with a couple of our pairs? Maybe Somther Crispy, Gabe and Maka, Hodgson Zydox? Are they going to toe it all?
It could be interesting. I mean, Hodge and Zydox would be a promising one if Hodgson tries to tow Zydox on the straight, because, like I said, I feel like Zydox is the one closest to Sunny at the start. Now that I see the times, maybe Maka want to help out Gaben more. But I don't know. I hope that they might want to try and threaten Sunny with a tow, but I feel like also they're not going to do that, as they each focuses on their own lap times more than trying to tow each other away. Especially with now 3 minutes 40, would be unfair to help one out and the other doesn't get a tow on the next lap, and it's just too close to the end now.
Yeah, it's hard enough to balance, especially with Brandon and Glenn, who have crashed out in P2. Glenn more literally than Brandon. It's easy to tell your drivers to set up the tow. As Pyro just pointed out, it's harder to tell one of your drivers to sacrifice one of their Q3 laps and listen to a guy who's just crashed out in Q2. The drivers don't like it when you tell them to do that. I've made similar recommendations in Merc, and Tent told me to go and do one. But he towed me towards P2 in Azerbaijan qualifying, so real last lap. Anyway, that was off topic. 3 minutes left in Q3. Sunny still leads, and the top three are in the pits at the moment. Sunny, Gaben, Somtha. We expected Zydox and Crispy to be up there. Barring any upsets, that's probably the top five. Macro and Hodgson, I think, could improve somewhat. We've got Monty on his outlap at the moment, coming towards the finish line. Maka and Franklin on timed laps at the moment, but Maka's the only one that's in threat of improving. He's coming down that long home straight as Monty starts his timed lap now. Maka is doing pretty well at the moment. He's 3/10ths up, which would put him above Franklin and very close to Crispy. Bear in mind that he's still got the whole of Sector 3 where he can improve in, and indeed getting those last two corners right is really important for a few tenths. You can say that about every corner, but he's got these few left to do. I like the way he's approaching this long right-hander here, and I think we're going to see a few invalidations on the left-hander here, the second last corner, where drivers go a bit too far and get those corner cut extensions, warnings and time penalties. Maka comes up to the line. What's he going to do? He's in P4. Fantastic performance. He's a 10th off Somtha. He's probably not going to be able to pit again, but he can be proud of that position. Well done, Maka. Alex, anyone exciting you on track at the moment? Do we think Monty's going to come up with some goods?
I feel Monty may be able to jump above his teammate in Shadow Hopper. We'll have to see what kind of time he can do. But my eyes at the moment are on Zydox. He's just put on a fresh set of tyres. And he can definitely improve on that time. So it's going to be interesting to see where he does place that car.
Yeah, under the radar in Q2, only came up with a fast time. What are we thinking? Do you reckon he can match Gaben in P2?
I would say he's gonna start battling. Maybe not to get above Gaben, but at least split Somtha and Gaben. He does seem to be sort of off his usual game in USA, so we're gonna have to see where his relative strength is once he's finished the lap.
Yeah, well said. Zydox coming through. He beat his time, but I think it was invalid at the last corner. So he stays on 1:31.3. He would have contended with Somtha and Maka. It's worth saying Sunny has just started his timed lap. So this is the lap to end all laps. If you're looking at before qualifying what you expect. He hasn't matched his Q2 time yet. 1:30.52 was his Q2 best time, and indeed the best Q2 time. So he's a 10th off that, but he's just come out. Banker laps are to the side, following Alex's theory. He's got minimum fuel, maximum ERS, maximum tyre wear available. He's lighting up Sector 1, a 10th down. Pyro, just let us know what he's doing. He's burning up the track right now.
Yeah. I mean, Sunny currently, we hope he does not invalidate it at some point. I just practice the limits of this track, and it seems like he has the perfect setup for this as well, where he has enough traction to do out the difficult parts, especially in Sector 3, and there's enough speed for the straight that he doesn't lose a lot of time, and that compared with that and his ability to drive the car is just an insane driving currently. Will be interesting to see. I mean, Gaben and Somtha both are now in the pit, so no threats there, but further back, even though they're currently off the pace a little bit, there still is a possibility that somebody can threaten them, though Sunny also looks like on a really, really good pace at the moment.
Yeah, Sunny 3/10 ahead. We've seen Gaben, Somther, and Maka unable to improve their times. Sunny is going to cross the line 1:30.3, the best time of today, or rather the best time of today so far. Franklin going into the pits isn't going to beat it at any point soon, which means it falls down to our boy Connor Hodgson coming around Sector 2. I'm yet to see his delta, but I'll be very surprised if it's close to Sunny's 1:30.3 potential. He's got a few corners to go. He's still kept it valid. 10th would be disappointing for a driver as good as Hodgson. I don't know if this is the lap he can improve it on, but he's going to have to make it back in the race. If so, he's got one more corner to go, almost out of fuel, going to get the last vestige of energy out of the DRS. Let's see where he ends up. He's going to gain a few positions and beat both Alpine Renaults. So sending Hodge into P8, and that is wraps on Q3. I didn't see much of Gaben, Somfer, or Maka's final laps, but they didn't get to improve at all. It looks like Gaben spam on the final corner, so couldn't bring it to bear. Maka, of course, we saw him run out of time with the earlier retirement. And Somther, I think there was an invalidation as we went around Sector 2. I'm sure he might be able to correct us later on as we get into the cesspool that is VL Racing General after a race or a qualifying session. Alex, obviously, Sunny pole position. I'm not even going to ask you if that was expected. He's the champion. He's doing too well. What are we thinking about Zydox and Hodgson? Did they underperform? Do you think they should have been further up as Haas?
I think the field we've got at the moment, I think Hodgson is probably about his field in the US. He definitely has. Obviously, he won here last time, but we know that was with safety car shenanigans, and he is much more of a race driver than he is a qualifying driver. So I think that's to be expected. But I am, as we said, a bit disappointed with where Zydox is. I think he could have put up a better performance, and he did end up invalidating his final lap. So you have to say it was a bit of a mistake, and we'll see whether he can pull it back during the race.
Yeah, well said. I really want to see these drivers battling each other. I'd like it to stay close rather than it be decided by safety car, #Hodgson, or by just some amazing collision on Sector 1, although I would like to clip that collision if it happened. 7th position for Franklin from McLaren. Pyro, are you happy with that one? And do you think Franklin will be happy with that one?
Well, I'm certainly more than happy with that. I feel like he's also quite happy as he has quite very good drivers in front of him. There's the likes of Psydox, Gaben, Crispy, Somta, Maka, all of these drivers who are really, really good. So he's just like on the line to those really good drivers. So I think he will also be very proud. So he's the best of the rest, let's say it this way, ahead of Hodgson, Shadow Hopper, and Monty. Feel like he's also very happy with that position. And who knows, maybe with the 7th place, he can jump 1 or 2 positions at the start and even catch maybe Zydox or Crispy out and gain those positions as well. Who knows?
Yeah, he's definitely got the room to improve. He's found fairly consistent pace. He hasn't shocked anyone, but I'd like to see Franklin perform well. And I think that's what we're seeing as Season 5 has moved along. We started off in a new game with a lot of qualifying sessions being decided by DNFs or collisions. I'm sure we've seen that even between teammates at various points. But I've quite liked seeing just raw pace and tenths and hundredths of seconds deciding things. Shame about obviously Gaben, Somther, and I want to say Crispy, whoever was in 4th. Gaben, Somther, and Maka not being able to finish their laps at the end. But yeah, it's all part and parcel. And we're set for a race now with a lot of the top competitors being able to battle. Now, the big one is that I'm looking outside my window here in Texas. See how I did that? I'm in my bedroom, but made it seem like I was on track. I'm looking out of my window and I'm seeing a lot of rain here. It's just started at the end of Q3 and it's become heavy very, very quickly. There's storm clouds covering the sky and it looks to have really taken hold quickly. The track is absolutely covered. So it's going to mess a lot with traction. Alex, just with someone who's been a veteran in driving in all conditions, what sort of things will the drivers have to do in terms of either setup or how they approach the track?
So the main things they want to do now, with setup, there's only so much they can do from qualifying. You've got to carry over the same setup you do, but you can make some minor adjustments. You can increase the front wing angle, give yourself a bit more stability on the front end, bit more traction when you turn, and you can also raise or lower the differential, which stops the tires spinning at different rates, which really is needed to be closely controlled in a wet race. Now, that would explain why everyone did Q2 on the softs. If they knew it was going to be raining, then there's no point setting a time on the mediums, because tire locking does not carry over for a wet race. So they have free choice of the wet tires, whether it's full wets or intermediates.
Yeah, well said. The foresight that the drivers have with the panel advance warning of the weather in the race, as you said, would have led to that decision. So no longer 14 mistakes or 14 weird calls at the same time. It was premeditated. It was all planned, and everyone was has got used to these things over time. We've had enough dry races. We've had enough wet races. We've had a few trials and tribulations as we've gone through qualifying. Although a lot of the top 10 has settled into the positions we were expecting. Let's have a look at the grid as it's going to line up for the start of the US Grand Prix round 24. Sunny P1, who'd have thunk? No more to say about that one. He's fast. Gaben did really well. He was second fiddle to Sunny in both sessions that were competitive today, half a second off, and managed to beat his closest competitors in Sunny's wake in his shadow. Sumther and Maka didn't get to set a time towards the end of the session, much like Gabe, and they're similarly about half a second back from the man in the Aston Martin. Good performances from both. Zydox has been with Sunny in Aston Martin a lot of times this season, but he's Hodgson's mate now, and he'll be lining up alongside Crispy. Crispy getting P5 with some pretty good racing, nice consistency for him. Pyro is going to have a coat hanger beaming smile at his boy Franklin getting into P7. Our boy Hodgson, who was fighting for the World Championship here in Season 1, is now looking at being 8th. Sucks, eh? On row 5, we've got the two Alpine drivers moving into Renault or vice versa. Shadow and Monty, they'll be next to each other. There won't be any infighting. Or maybe given China, maybe there will. Definitely not the case for this row 6, which is Glenn and Blaze. Both didn't get through Q2. Glenn obviously having a pyro pit wall incident. Blaze not managing to pull off the valid laps at the end. They'll be looking to fight from the back and get some good results off. Now, it's worth saying I've had a shout from the powers that be, Reed, Blaze and Stoll, that we won't be getting any new drivers. So we thought maybe Miffy could have recovered his internet. Scott could have maybe come back, or maybe Calm could have come in for late in the game. As it stands, we've just got the 12 drivers that we've been used to seeing in this qualifying session. Pyro, do you think that will do anything to the results? Do you think we'll see that much change? Because maybe the drivers towards the back of the field aren't going to be the last to first types that have raw pace. The grid is lining up how it should, the faster drivers at the front. Do you think that will affect the race?
No, I don't think it will affect the race much, but it is in the wet conditions, meaning the wet race usually is a little bit more challenging for the drivers. And with that, everything can happen, especially with a track like US and A. I feel like with attraction at times can already be quite a struggle. It being wet can just make it a little bit harder. So everything can happen, and everything hopefully will happen.
Okay, let's see if that rings true. So, guys, if you're watching in Twitch chat, give us a shout. It's been pretty chill so far in qualifying. I want to see you get really into it for the race. One thing that we're going to be doing, we've done it a few times so far this season. You can participate in a 2-option poll that we're going to be putting into Twitch chat in the next couple of minutes. Obviously, we've seen that there are 3 Project Mercedes drivers. That's Blaze, Sumther, and Crispy. We've been seeing that there are 3 Project Ferrari drivers. That's Glenn, Gaben, and Maka. They can all perform well on their day, but as a viewer of VLF1, which team do you think will have the highest performing driver? Will it be Mercedes or will it be Ferrari? I'd like to see why you think each one in chat, because I still don't know myself sitting here who the highest finishing driver would be. I would definitely put my money on the Gaben, Sumther, Maka, Crispy to produce it. I don't see Glenn or Blaze jumping up the field, but it's going to be fun to watch either way. So yeah, put your channel points on the line. I want to see what you guys think. I'm going to go for Ferrari on this one, but maybe I'm biased because I was with them most recently. Cheers production. We've got a shot from AWS. With the wet weather, they suggest wet tyres and then a change onto wet tyres. And then when that's done, a change onto wet tyres. Cheers, Jeff Bezos. Hope the divorce proceedings continue to go well. So we've got Sonny leading out the team on the formation lap. I think you've already covered this slightly, Alex, but with the changes in front wing, what do you think our drivers will be doing adapting to the wet conditions?
So they during the opening laps, I'm expecting them to be a lot more careful while they get used to conditions. I wouldn't expect to see many sends unless people have a death wish. They really don't know what the limit of the traction is at the moment, so it's going to be a lot more of a cautious opening few laps, and then we'll start to see them gradually build up pace as the race goes on.
Yeah, heavy into light rain does do that to a squad. Yeah, Pyro, what do we think? Are we going to see more DNFs from the wet weather, or do you think people are going to play it a bit safer?
Usually, I'd say the wet weather in general will see us more DNFs. But lately, what I've seen is drivers are a bit more careful in the wets. So I would now go with we see less DNFs, especially because we only have 12 cars in the race.
Yeah, with 12 cars, it means that when there are 2 DNFs or greater, every finishing and classifying position gets you points. Navor was a bit off the pace when he raced a few times this season, but he got points a few times because he raced consistently, cleanly, and didn't DNF, so that's certainly a way to do things. It's worth saying that Cauchy, or Fabs as he's known, has put all of his VL points on the line for Project Ferrari, although we've just had a big bet for Mercedes. Let's move away from Twitch chat and move towards the track as round 24 is about to get underway. The rain is bucketing down, and Yankee Doodle Doo, let's go. Sonny gets us underway at the start of the US Grand Prix. We've already got Crispy overtaking Maka, running up behind some. The rocket start for the 2 guys in Project Mercedes. We've got the Alpine guys a lot further back. There's someone well on the inside. I think Blaze is going to try and make it 4 wide with Glenn. There's already pieces of debris on the track. There's an Alpine going off to the right, and that is the Alpine of Shadowhopper, or Renault more accurately. Monty is going to join him further back as Blaze and Glenn both get really good starts there. Hodge is going to advance into P6. Somtha Gaben going to stabilise, and Sonny is still the one ahead. Alex, any reactions to that one?
It's unfortunate what happened to Shadow. There's, as I said, during the opening laps when there's very little traction, none of the water's been scrubbed away. People don't know the grips. Going several wide is never a smart option, and Shadowhopper obviously comes out the worst of it, being forced wide over the grass, and we'll have to see how he can recover from it.
Yeah, as far as race director's gone, Franklin and Zydox have collided, which has resulted in a warning for Franklin. But yeah, that 4 wide, you don't like to see it. Crispy is looking close to making a move on Zydox, but it's almost developing into a train now. Obviously, you're used to seeing DRS trains as drivers use slipstream and the aerodynamics of the DRS system to follow each other in the dry weather. In wet weather, you can't use the DRS, but with everyone being slow, everyone being on the same line, and with it being sort of a dry patch in the middle of the track, you do see the pattern of drivers developing into that same line, following each other, and using that extra speed to overtake. Pyro, what sort of flashpoints are you expecting here? Are there any battles you think we should be focusing on?
Well, Samta and Gaben currently are looking quite interesting. Though I see Gaben losing quite a lot of time on the exit nicely. I did not expect Samta to overtake Gaben at the start, but I'm very impressed, and I hope he will stay up there and maybe even threaten Sunny, which is unlikely, but a man can still dream, right? And who knows, I feel like this is a battle that could shape out interesting when these 2 are remaining this close together.
Please bear with us on the timing stat, guys. I don't know if you're seeing it live on the broadcast. We've got hopefully that resolves within a couple sectors, but Sonny is the leader. We're not seeing some Franklin bribe where McLaren is certainly in P1 being a lap down.
I very much like this. Why can I not say this way?
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
But yeah, Sonny is leading. He's taking it down the back straight in sector 2. He's getting almost up to 190 miles an hour. obviously nowhere near the speed he would be getting in the dry conditions. But yeah, one thing that we saw was Gaben trying to overtake Somtha in the first sector. But on the S's, Gaben just didn't really have enough room to maneuver. Wouldn't have done it in the dry, definitely doesn't in the wets. So even if you're a bit weaker in that sector, the wet weather does help you to sort of defend.
Yeah, and especially if you have speed in the straights, I feel like you have so much more on the wets compared to some of these corners, because obviously, like you said, you don't want to make a maneuver in the wets this close to a corner that is sometimes even more slippery on outside the racing line than it already is. It's just a risk that you don't want to take sometimes.
Fastest lap coming in for Sonny. Great move for him. He just wants to extend his lead. It's up to 3 seconds already. Well, there's no DRS. He might as well. He's got pace in all forms of weather. Blaze and Glenn. Alex, it's been fun watching them every time. Is one clearly faster? Do we favour one? I think we're just used to seeing invalidations from Blaze, and hope Glenn doesn't get near a pit wall.
I mean, I think he's currently gone for a second. But I will gladly answer that question. As a pit entry expert myself, I feel like I forgot the question. Fuck.
Blaze v Glenn. What's happening? Who's winning this one?
Oh my god, that's a good fucking question.
It's almost like the junior version of the prediction we've put into Twitch chat.
Yeah.
Like one is Mercedes versus Ferrari, but ignore those people higher up the grid. This is the real battle.
I feel like Glenn though. Depends on how good his iron will is. Remaining calm, driving behind another driver. I can see him making a surprising move sooner or later, or even putting Blaze under pressure so that he makes a mistake and has an easy surpass. I can see that happen. Or one of the other things that can happen is that they just like to kiss each other and then kiss into a wall. So one of those two.
Yeah, they'll have plenty of time for kissing each other after they've both sent each other into a DNF spiral. Very easy to do in the wet weather. But yeah, both very much Bing chilling at the moment. We've got Gaben following Somtha. I think we've seen this pattern a lot. They've been fighting each other a lot recently. Australia, Canada, now the USA. I do like seeing these drivers. They're very similarly paced. Somtha, of course, being a VL veteran, whereas Gaben came over from BBU as a 4-time champion. So it's nice to see the pace diff. It almost makes me think where Calm and Travis would be. They're obviously on participating, but I could sort of see the ghosts of them being about this pace and sort of trying to get a second fiddle to Sonny at the moment. I'm actually disappointed, much like Alex was, that Zydox isn't further up there. But also, as Alex said, maybe this isn't his track, or this has been a busy week for him. What I like that Haas are doing, though, is they've been together, much like Alpine are, and Zydox is just sort of chilling for Hodge. It looks like they're using about the same amount of energy from the ERS system, so I think Zydox is just towing Hodge along as much as you can in a wet weather condition race. They just need to break clear of Maka behind them, who's performing pretty well.
Now I want to put on my conspiracy hat on, but it is kind of odd how Hodgson picks Zydox, especially today, where he knows that Zydox is not his favorable track, or is not up to pace, and somewhere in the top 2. So could Hodgson have known this one, and how does he know things like that? Because usually, or is it just a general Hodgson debuff? Could also be, because we've seen the McLaren debuff affecting Zydox when he was in the McLaren for that one race, and the first thing he did is spin or crash out. I can't remember, in qualifying. So, is that the Hodgson debuff? Maybe. I'm putting my tinfoil conspiracy theories hat on now.
I mean, you could spin it either way. I mean, Zydox is good, so Hodge wants to do well, but Zydox isn't doing well on this track, so Hodge doesn't want to do well. But Zydox is not with Sonny, so Hodge wants to do well. But also, Zydox is going to be having issues with performance, and therefore makes it a tow. Therefore, Hodge wants to do well, but that'll give him points, which won't let him sandbag, so he doesn't want to do well. But maybe he wants to do well so he gets into the top 10 and make sure he's there. But maybe he doesn't so that he can get from different tracks and get into the draft. All I know is it's a Hodgson strategy, so it probably won't pay off the way he wants it to. First penalties on the board are Gaben's. Alex, how much of a Duke track do you think this is, especially in the wet weather?
It's definitely a very big, very heavy penalty track. There's a lot of places where you won't run wide, where the track tightens up on you, and you think you've got that little bit of space to go into, and it just runs away from you. It's going to be interesting to see who can manage that, especially in the wet, as you said, because the cars generally tend to be a lot more slippy, harder to control in those tight corners. So we'll see who can manage that the best.
Yeah, weather's going to be so much trickier on these cars. From personal experience, Sector 1 is very difficult to stay within track limits on. And also this corner that Somtha and Gaben are coming up to here, this second last corner, it's very easy to just tip your car past the track limits on the left-hand side and get a great line, but also get a 3-second penalty. So yeah, wet weather's going to make it really hard to select that line and stick to it. Another fastest lap for Sonny, who's now 7.5 seconds clear. It has real calm energy from Season 4 when he just smashed everyone, but then the late safety car favoured Hodgson. I love it. Pyro, I don't know if you're seeing this as well, but looking at Somtha and Gaben, it looks like Gaben just has a massive pace diff on Somtha, but then Somtha's just taking up the racing line, driving as best as he can, and just Gaben doesn't have any overtaking opportunities. Are you seeing that as well?
Yes, I can see that, especially through some corners. I can see how Gaben is really close but cannot make the move. But also, it is interesting to see, it looks like Somta has much more of a calmer car than Gaben has. I don't know if it's just Gaben pushing a little bit more or being not patient enough, but sometimes out of the corners you can see Gaben having to correct more than Somta. Looks like Somta has like a stable, calm car, while Gaben is fighting for the car a little bit more than, and that maybe cost him as well time where he could have made the move, but he had to use that to fight his car and stay on the track. So it's interesting to see. Probably both of them using similar setup, but that slight difference looks like it benefits Somta more than Gaben at the moment.
Yeah, Somtha really able to hold his own in this weather. He's not living on the edge, like you pointed out. He's got the consistency, he's got the stability. The real winner of this battle, of course, is Sonny, who's taking advantage of Somtha's maybe not maximum pace to just go ahead and absolutely blitz it off into the sunset. He hasn't extended his lead anymore this lap, but he doesn't need to. He's gaining at least a second a lap on the rest of the grid. And if you look at where he is, he's the newly crowned World Drivers' Champion for Season 5. Nothing can stop him. Trav, calm, Gaben in front of Somtha. You feel as though he'd have the clear lead on any of them at this point in whatever weather. And he's really got that aura of domination that I felt from Flyer in Season 1 and that I felt from Calm in Season 4. While Trav in 2 and Calm in 3 were good, they just didn't have that aura of, I'm going to turn up to every race and destroy you. Sonny's got the complete package, he's got the setups, he's got the time trial, and he's probably got the big old ego boost from listening to this stream back. So this will look incredibly ironic if he bends into a wall in about 2 laps. Yeah, Gaben is probably the real flashpoint at the moment. Yeah, moving back, we've also got Glenn moving up to Brandon, and we've got a similar effect. The Ferrari driver maybe having the pace, maybe driving more on the edge, but the Merc just stably going in front. Yeah, any signs on the weather, Alex? I don't think we have any information to be privy to. It just looks consistently heavily raining on our screens.
Yeah, I think especially with the way these guys are driving, they're not. If the rain was going to wait up, some of them might wait and hold back rather than pushing it in the heavy rain. So I think it is just going to be a miserable, dark, wet day, and we'll have to see if anyone really shines in their performance in the wet.
Yeah, it's really hard to shine with the conditions we've got, but if you can just get that overtake, that 1 in a million overtake on a weird corner where you're just off the line, and where you can just about make that 10th happen, that's what we're here for. But yeah, we're hopefully going to see a bit more action as we get towards the drier parts of the race. We've had a few in VLF1 story history where it started off wet and it's got drier, and you've seen the race open up a bit. The one I remember with you, Alex, was I think it was Hungary, where it started off wet. I can't remember which side of the Renault Mercedes season it was, but it was me and it was me and Hodge fighting against you and Blaze, or vice versa. And it was the one where I was doing all right, but then you and Hodge drove off into the sunset after Jeff gave me intermediates. I don't know if you recall that one.
Yeah, I do remember that one. I was with Hodge on that one. So it was post-swap. Yeah, I remember for the first half of that race being so bored, just trying to get past any of that rear wing, and it just wouldn't get out of the way, no matter what I tried. As we see Maka with picking up a few seconds, they are starting to rack up for drivers across the board, so we're going to have to keep an eye, see if that affects the standings in any way.
Ooh, I like the train that's building at the moment towards the back, so Blaze and Glenn have been close to each other, both emotionally and on the track, for the 8 laps that we've had this race. Shadow is now within half a second of Glenn and almost looking for overtaking opportunities. And yeah, Monty is getting in that train as well. Both Renault drivers are potentially in a position to strike. But I say that, it's wet weather, it's an undulating track. The only big straight we've got, everyone's just sort of chilling and keeping up the same deltas. So it would take some mistake from Blaze or Glenn or Shadow for any position changes. But I like that they're showing the pace in these conditions. I want to see if it can transfer as it gets a bit lighter, clears up.
Well, I had to fight my mic currently because I had the durability of F1's ice engine today. Was it ice? No, it was turbocharger or anything. Regardless, it's just as reliable as Ferrari is in real life. I've seen that while the fight with Gaben and Samta was on, Gaben still gaining another 2 seconds, currently on 6 seconds penalties now, meaning if he surpasses Samta, he still has to make a 6-second gap. But it's not the only thing I've seen. I've seen that Gaben actually locks up quite a lot as well. And he's also one of the drivers that doesn't use ABS, and it seems like on the braking, especially after the long straight, is impeding on quite a lot. As we see currently here, his production cut perfectly. On the braking, he's locking up both front tires, which will, in the longer stint, probably hurt him more, as he has more worn tires towards the first pit stop, as Samta will have, and maybe even depending on how the condition is gonna have, will Samta have a strategy advantage then over Gaben.
Yeah, Gaben obviously racking up those 6 seconds is pretty critical. As the race gets towards the end, any safety cars or continued spells of wet weather means that the field will be stacked up together, which increases the penalty, the punishment factor of those 3-second penalties. Gaben, now with that 6-second pen, is effectively in P4 behind Crispy, who on track is 5 seconds behind. So yeah, he's got to improve on that discipline. As you said, the lockups are a factor. It's nice to contrast Gaben and Samta, because Gaben appears to have the pace when it matters, but then also loses pace randomly due to lockups. So I'm starting to get less convinced that if Gaben was in front, he'd be able to run away with it. I feel he'd still have the penalties, and he'd still have a bit of almost ill-discipline in getting some corners right and getting some corners badly wrong with lockups and staying inside the track lines. It's going to be a fun battle to watch, though, especially with it this way round. Gaben almost crashing into something with a few late lockup breaks. It's getting towards the halfway stage. With the wet tyres having the same durability as the hard compound, these tyres can last almost the entire duration of the race. So I think that the biggest factor in changing over will not be the tyre life, but will instead be the transition from the heavy rain into light rain. I'm not sure when that will happen, but For the sake of entertainment, I'm hoping it's soon. Gaben's got to be really frustrated with the way those penalties have racked up. Same with Blaze and Glenn, who have got 3 seconds each further back.
Interestingly enough, the wets, I think it was last season, Monty was the one having 0 stops in the wet and gaining him quite a lot of good points. So who knows, depending on when the weather changes, we can see another Monty special with no pit stops maybe, because even if it's lighter rain later on in the race, the dry still takes a little bit of time for the conditions to be intermediate. So who knows, maybe a cheeky Monty 0 stop is gonna happen today again, which I really hope for.
Yes, it's definitely possible. I'm sure the drivers who've been here with Monty at most of the field now and saw him take that 3rd place in Silverstone with 0 stop. It's possible on intermediate, so it's definitely possible on the full wet tyre compound. Yeah, it is just up to the weather there. If it changes late on, the crossover point arrives even later, it might be worth considering tactically. And it's that sort of thing that really shakes up the order in the race. We've seen through qualifying and the start of the race so far, drivers have sort of settled into pace and into where we sort of expect them to finish. Sonny definitely at the top. The second tier of Somther, Gaben and Crispy, Zydox and Hodgson and Maka in the middle. And it's when we get to those tactical calls of do you switch or do you stay that you really see the upsets happening. Because depending on which way the coin flips and which strategy ends up winning, you could see drivers like, I'm going to call out Shadow Hopper because he's towards the bottom of the grid right now. Shadow Hopper could make the switch early and then come out and match the early crossover point and come out 4th. Or it could work really badly and he could drop to the back. It's that sort of battle that we hope to see between strategies. As it happens now, we're seeing the sort of calm before the storm, which is ironic because there's a giant storm on at the moment, because everyone's just running around slowly. And yeah, as production pointed out, I have to call that pun out. He said there's no calm. So yeah, best pun of the night, not even by a caster. We've got Sonny on track, still 10.5 seconds ahead. Everyone really following in processional style. A couple of penalties going out. We've spotted most of them. Oh, and there's actually a bit of positional changing towards the back. Shadow overtaking Glenn on what's a really interesting corner, a tight hairpin leading into Sector 3. So Glenn's going to be seeing red, and not only from his Ferrari chassis, because even though he didn't have the pace on Shadow, you feel like he should have been able to defend that one. Shadow is now going to set his sights on our race director boy Blazzacino in blue.
And it's interesting to see that he did it on that harsh hairpin, but maybe he just saw the chance and was close enough to just send it and stick to it. So that's the kind of overtakes you have to do in the wet, I feel like, because if you're not really that much faster in the straights, you kind of have to send it in special corners where you have to take the risk, and he just took the risk and got rewarded with a good position in 9th place now. So sometimes, as we see the spin from Blaze.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Blaze absolutely spinning on the S's. To be fair, that's the section where the spins happen, but our drivers have been pretty well disciplined so far. Really sucks for Blaze. I want to see from a different camera angle. Looks like he's got his end plates on at the moment, but there's another spin. The tyres are absolutely not responding to his calls right now. I don't know if this necessitates a tyre swap, a pit stop, because it doesn't look like there's any damage unless it's like underfloor. It might be the case that he just needs the pit stop, but either way, it really sucks for him. He's in Franklin territory now where he's at the back. There's clear space between him and all the drivers in front of him, and he's going to have to rely on some mistakes further up the grid. He's reaching out one arm in front of him, yearning for his buddy Glenn. And there we go, Franklin's actually retired. Let's watch for the safety car. Eyes peeled. We'll see if it comes in, and there it is, the full safety car, lap 13. And I want to see what happens to Strats here, because Sonny is out on the track, but Somther's just come in, and Gaben, it looks like, has come in as well. Alex, what are we thinking here? What's prompted these decisions?
If the rain has started to lighten up, now will be the time for inters. Even if it is just starting and it's not at that inter point yet, you've got to think you've got 2 or 3 laps behind the safety car, and then you've almost got to predict what the rain's going to be like in 2 or 3 laps time. And that's where the real difference is made. and it does look like everyone is coming in for those inters. So we'll have to see if they've made the right call. Unfortunately for Sonny, if the inters is the right call, he could be shafted a bit here because he passed the pit lane before the safety car came out. So it's really gonna be unfortunate for him if the inters are the tyres to be on.
Yeah, well said. It sucks when you've got like a leader that's made a bad call and it's sort of fell back, and you can sort of say maybe you should have made a different call. As you just pointed out, Alex, Sonny couldn't have made a different call because he was past the pit entry. So yeah, looks like the whole field that isn't Sonny has changed onto the intermediates. Blaze just leaving the pits now. He still has a penalty to contend with. In fact, it's a drive-through because I don't think he got down to the Delta fast enough. So Blaze is going to take a leaf out of Hodges' book and do a double stop, but importantly, it's going to be have to be after the safety car.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate to pick up a penalty like that. I've done it this season. It's not a very nice one. You feel very much like an idiot when you pick it up. At the time, I thought it might have been a bug. I went back, watched my footage, and it was just like, no, you can't read the screen, you fucking idiot.
We had that with Crispy, I think, in, I want to say Canada, the one I wasn't here for, where he was at the drive-through penalty, and the last frame before the penalty came in, it was a 0.001 in the green, and then it landed the penalty. Luckily, the steward sorted that one for him. But yeah, we're going to have Sonny coming into the pits. It looks like he is going to make that call. He is going to put on the intermediates. And yeah, with the safety car out, luckily he still had that absolute massive lead that he's going to be in first. And still be in first, going behind the safety car as we start lap 14 of 28.
Yeah, that's really fortunate that he managed to pick up that monstrous lead. If he didn't get that lead and they were able to sort of close up under the Delta, it would have been maybe even lights out for his race. You know, having to go to the back of the grid, really not a very fun thing to do in the rain. But no, as you say, he keeps that P1, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does manage this field under the safety car.
Yeah, it's different fortunes. At one end, we've got Brandon, who's maybe seeing the safety car and seeing the light of dawn break over the horizon and seeing a chance to get back into the race after a bit of a spin, immediately to be slapped with a drive-through with mismanagement of Delta. Then on the other side, Sonny's so good that the Delta doesn't matter and he can make a pit stop and start first anyway. So yeah, I would say he needs to keep a clean race, but at this point, Sonny could just keep racing and get so much of a lead that his penalty count doesn't matter. He's absolutely that formidable. Pyro Everyone's switched onto the Inters now, with some penalties still in effect. Are there any overtakes that you think are going to happen here? We've already seen Maka break into P6 because of Haas doing a double stack in the pit stop. Do we think Hodge is going to be able to take him back here?
It will be very interesting to see if he can do it. But I'm very much doubt it. It dried out a little bit. It's intermediate weather, but it's still wet, and the overtaking is still quite hard. So I feel like he's probably punching himself now that he did the double stack and lost that position. But if he remains calm, he can make it up again. If he's the typical Hutchin, I don't feel like he can make it happen. But I feel like for the front, like the likes of something Gaben that were together all the time. Now something, of course, having time to breathe a little bit during the safety car. Will be interesting to see if maybe Gaben is gonna have a catch out Sonta, or maybe even Sonta catching out Sunny. One of those situations where I feel like Gaben's catching Sonta out is more likely. I feel like one of these situations are more likely to happen than for the back. Though I said it, I feel like Glenn is also one that can sometimes catch somebody out, or will be caught up. So a lot of things happening.
Yeah, so many subplots on. We've got AWS now advising the intermediate tyres, which is kind of cool because it was only about 3 laps behind everyone else. Normally Jeff is king when it comes to the F1 interface. If the race engineer says there's a crossover point or it's looking like tyre change is required, normally Jeff is pretty accurate, or Jeff in Japanese if we go to Blaze's stream. We've got AWS a bit behind on the spectator interface, but yeah, looks like all of our drivers, like they were in Q2 to go on the softs, are of one mind here. I'm pretty sure I've seen Sonny go over 2 track extensions. He just did there, and it's a no time gain type beat, but I've seen that get a 5-second penalty before in the safety car. It's not luck, but it is a bit hot in your mouth. If not for him being already the crowned World Drivers Champion, you'd be sort of flaming him on stream, which I suppose I am right now, you trash driver. Something's just behind him with half the race gone. Hopefully we're going to see a bit better racing. It's not quite dry racing where you've got all the traction, but at least you've got more speed on the intermediates. There's a wider dry line. You've got faster speeds. You've got a bit more traction in corners. Hopefully we're going to see things a bit closer, even if we're not going to have the DRS or the power of the full racing. Blaze, it is just going to have to go back into the pits. There's no like special tactical way you can get around it. He just is going to lose a pit stop's worth. But I think we could be seeing battles all over the field, with the exception of Sonny, who is just going to absolutely mince his way to the front. The race control is advising us that the safety car will be in this lap. All 11 remaining drivers, sorry Franklin, are clustered up behind the safety car, so we're going to have Sonny making a restart. And Alex, would you care to take us from here to green flag?
Yeah. So this is where he wants to start backing up the field. You want to let the safety car get to the safety car line, and Sonny effectively becomes the new safety car. They have to follow his speed. He dictates what the rest of the field does, but equally it means he gets to choose when the rest of the field go. Now, at the moment, it's still full yellows. There's no overtaking until they pass the start-finish line, so he's just going to keep them up. Clustered up, and we'll have to see when he decides to go. Comes around the final corner now. He's still going slow, and now he's giving it full beans. And it looks like Brandon's held back a bit to serve his drive through immediately, which is a really hard thing to do in this. As we see Hodgson looking the side of turn 1, but it opens up to Shadow Butler, who doesn't make the move pass. A bit of a timid restart, really. Nothing really going on in terms of sends. Just a couple of people looking over the shoulder of others saying, "Do you mind if I stick my nose in there?" But nothing more than that, really.
Yeah, well said, Alex. Absolutely chill at the moment. Drivers are feeling the higher stakes as we get towards the second half of this race. We've seen Franklin taken from within our midst, and they know that things can be potentially race-ending out there. So, yeah, they're not quite at the point where they're putting everything on the line. It's a bit more chill, but hopefully we get a few more overtaking opportunities. Shadow within 0.2 of Hodgson and really making it count on that back straight. Monty within effective DRS distance, even though there isn't a DRS thing yet, of Glenn. And we've got a real nice train developing from P2 down to P5. Zydox as the weather lightens up and it gets drier. You feel he's only going to get faster with these 4 drivers from P2 to P5 only separated by best part of 2/10 in qualifying. They have similar pace, so you get a feeling of anything could happen. Sonny, of course, is 2 seconds clear already, so definitely his to lose.
Yeah, definitely lose. 2 packs forming. There's also a pack P8 down to P10. They're all what we'd like to see is within DRS. Now in the rain, DRS isn't enabled, as we see Sonny setting the fastest lap, Kelsa Prix. Yeah, it's looked like we've got 2 major battles forming, and it's going to be interesting to see whether it stays like this for the rest of the race or they start to separate up.
Oh, bro, I thought Shadow was absolutely going to send it on Hodgson there. He seemed to have the pace diff within 0.2, but no, it didn't happen. He holds on for at least another couple of corners. We've got the same pattern with Gable and Somther as well. I'm sure I've seen this clip like 15 times. He just comes up to Sector 1. Somther's got the consistent racing line. He's going at a good enough pace. Gaben comes herring around the few corners. He's on the edge, and there it is. We've seen that clip twice before. He picks up a 3-second penalty. He's now got an effective 9, and the safety car's nightmarish for him, because that puts him back to P9 or something. He's the 3rd best Ferrari in the field. I mean, I haven't been racing for a season, and I'm nearly ahead of him after that penalty. Somther can just keep going and just keep his reliable pace, and yeah, it's a nightmare to keep following at that position. So yeah, the 2 packs that Alex talked about are forming. Pyro, where do you think the action's going to come from? What's our next big move going to be?
I mean, at this point, I don't see Caven pulling out any moves anymore. I feel like at this point, it's even more frustration from him rather than him doing the mistakes because of the track extension and pushing it too hard. I don't see him anymore. But I like to see the likes of Shadowhopper and Hodge. Like you said earlier, I thought Shadowhopper might send it at that point, but he thought twice. For it, huh? He thought twice about it. Oh, for it? English. Hard things. But I feel like if Hutchins stays this close, he will have another go at it. And I feel like he only backed out of it because he saw there wasn't really a chance of it, and the chance of him spinning was greater than overtaking. But if he stays this close and he will have another chance, I can see him overtaking Hutchins sooner or later. Especially because I can see Hutchins backing out of that fight. As sometimes he rather gives up the position rather than fight for it, as he can cause a collision. But we will have to see. We have seen the more timid Hodgson and we've seen the more aggressive Hodgson. Depending on what he is today, either Shadow will just pass him or they will show us and have a great battle on track.
Yeah, looking super close right now, and Shadow is just... He's got Gaben energy right now. He's just really having the pace on Hodge. Or rather, to correct myself, he's got Gaben energy without the 9-second penalty. Although, having said that, commentator Curse, he just noses up turn 11, comes out of the corner onto the long back straight, messes up his exit, does a bit of oversteer, and as a result loses so many steps on the run up to Hodgson. He's not going to have a go into Hodge on that corner, turn 12. But it doesn't matter, he's still got 10 laps with which to do it. Rain's still looking solid for now, so I don't think we're going to have a crossover point into dry weather, but I've been proven wrong on it before. It looks like we're going to have this train from now until the end of the race. Glenn looking close, Monty looking close behind him as well, and this is now a realistic battle for points. Blaze very adrift at the moment because of the extra pit stop he had to take. Of course, he had the drive-through penalty from the Delta on the safety car not being followed, so he's hoping for some mistakes in front of him at the moment. He's going to be watching everyone in front of him get some points.
Yeah, oh my god, he should have had a big swerve. Good catch though. Oh my god, I'm doing also almost the same. The exit out of these two corners is really hard, especially on the wins. But it's interesting to see because besides Maka, out of the top 9, or top 8, oh yeah, okay, well besides Maka, out of the top 10, no one really has a penalty so far. Meaning, Maka will currently lose out on 2 positions. Game obviously the one that loses out the most, and all the others will, if they continue like this, gain good positions. And the likes of Hodgson and Shadowhopper, they will probably be happy that they will gain this position. But also, the likes of Shadowhopper, you want to overtake Hodgson so you can get even more points and prove that you can overtake them on track. The interesting thing now is gonna be, it's always a little bit difficult as Brennan retires after one of the S's. Seems like it caught him out.
Yeah, we're immediately on safety car watch. We're used to this by now, we know our instincts. None appearing yet, so it looks like we've avoided a safety car, or indeed a VSC. So, oh no, there it is, never mind. Safety car, the second full one of the race. Now, we've got 9 laps to go. Depending on what the guys know about the weather, this is actually an interesting call, even if the weather doesn't change, because I would say that the mediums or intermediates have about 15-16 laps in them. Which means that drivers might be tempted to continue on these tyres, or pit, lose the track position, and then have the fresh ints. And then it's interesting again if the weather's going to change to a drier set, where they might have picked the wrong one. So I want to see what our drivers do. Most are staying out, but Crispy is in. Zydox in P5 is going to follow. Maka in P6 is going to follow. Hodge is there as well. Shadow is staying out. Glenn is in. And this is actually I love seeing this. The field has been cut in half. Glenn, Hodge, and Monty nearly ramming into each other at the pit entrance. So we've got Crispy onto the softs, the dry tyres. Let's see if anyone else is enough harebrained schemes to go for it. Crispy has got 2 testiculos the size of 2 galaxies right now. Hodge on the mediums, which is the bad call for 2 reasons. Zydox on the intermediates, Maka and Glenn on the intermediates, and Monty looking to be on the intermediates as well. Alex Kowalski analysis. Can we say anything about the state of Hodgson's brain after that move?
It's all gone to shit, Captain. So, personally, I wouldn't have pitted here. I don't think you get much of an advantage from fresh intermediates for those who have just swapped onto a new fresh set. I think from what we can see, it doesn't look like it's drying up enough for the slicks to be a viable choice. I will eat my words if that comes to fruition, but it does look like he is struggling on the outlap. Going to Hodgson on the mediums, that's even worse because they're going to have less grip than the softs on a track that already has 0 grip. So I fear we may see him go backwards at the rate of knots. And Gaben at the moment is still ruining the day the safety car existed, because with his number of pens he is relegated basically to the back of the grid at the moment, even if it isn't on track.
I didn't even consider that when the safety car came out. I was already sort of mentally consigning Gaben to the middle of the pack scrap heap, but depending on the tyre life dilemma, depending on the weather drying up dilemma, and knowing that he has 9 seconds of pens, he might have an even worse fate than previously thought of. And I really want to see how this develops, because we've got 2 different strategy dichotomies. One is the tyre life between most of our drivers on the intermediates. Our top drivers, Sunny Somther, Gaben, and Shadow Hopper, who's advanced into P4. They can continue to the end of the race, but they'll be really slow. Shadow coming in now, by the way, so looks like it's just our top 3 staying out. The rest of the drivers on intermediates will have better pace because they're fresh, but I don't know if they'll be able to make up those positions in time. And then you have Crispy and Hodgson, who have come completely out of left field, and Shadow's joining them now. He has gone for the soft tyres. So he's seen Crispy, he's seen Hodgson. Hodge coming in again into the box. He's now on the soft tyres, so nice job, Hodge. Only took you two chances to get the right tyre.
Yeah.
Monty's there as well, so that's 4 drivers with a safety car in operation, with 7 laps to go, on the soft tyres. Boys, it's been an honour casting tonight, and after we wake up from our nap after the first 15 laps, we might have a race on our hands. Pyro, what do you think about all of this?
I'm very confused, not gonna lie, because I still see raindrops on the camera, but I don't see spray on the track when the drivers are driving. So, game you being the game it is and giving me mixed signals as always. But I mean, judging, I usually judge always by the spray. And as I don't see anything, and as I see Shadowhopper also pitting, and feeling Shadowhopper has more of a brain than Hodgson does, it looks like it's drying up. But the rain is confusing me a little, and not only that, Glenn, Maka, Zydox opted for fresh inters, so, and they haven't pitted a second time, so I don't know if they're just committed, or they see a different state of the game, which also isn't unlikely. But I'm just very confused. But if it is the dry call, those guys have made the right choice, and I hope that we will see something interesting, and we will soon, after the safety car comes in, see who inted or who made the right call.
I really love this bit now, because think of it like a roulette table in those highfalutin casinos I know you all go to. Everyone's placing their bets. Do they go for the green tyres, the red tyres? They've made their calls. With Glenn with a 5-second penalty for collision with his own teammate Maka. Oh no, you hate to see it. We'll see later if he has wing damage. But yeah, no more bets has been called. The dice have been cast. The dice have been cast. Whatever metaphor you choose to use in this particular situation, going into the pits now is inting your race away. It's now time to see whether the fresh intermediates, the worn intermediates, or the fresh softs of the tech, and who's got into the pits at the last moment. Let's have a look. It's Somther and Gaben. Oh no, and Sunny stayed out. I don't know which is worse. This is devastation here with 6 laps to go. Has Sunny thrown it all away? Is Crispy about to win the USA Grand Prix? US Grand Prix. Screw the A at this point. It's all about the I and the S. Crispy is going hell for leather down that first set of corners. He's in second position, but I think there's generally a feeling that he's in a net P1. given the fact that everyone's switching onto those dry tyres. I don't know what's going on here. There's penalties around the grid. We've got people changing from ints onto softs. Zydok's picked up for 3 seconds there. He's been clean so far. Maka and Glenn are somehow in P3 and P4. The 2 senior Ferraris have got more penalties between them than the rest of the grid put together. And yeah, it's an absolute cluster cavalcade cacophony of a race with regard to strategy, with regard to penalties. And it's brilliant to commentate on. I don't know if Sonny's got this win, and that excites me.
Yes! What is happening? Because Glenn and Mecca are still on interest, but it doesn't seem that int. And Sunny obviously still out. Zydok's still out. I don't know, Santa and Gaben decided to do a Hodgson strategy and pitting right when the safety car comes in. Instead of just trying to commit to it if they already decided to stay on the interest for now. I'm so confused, but I like this because the gap so far doesn't seem to close down between Sunny and Crispy. So, but the interest seem fine, soft seem fine.
Yeah, like I'm seeing Zydox here get absolutely minced by the 2 Alpines, Shadow and Monty. Zydox is on the fresh ints, but the 2 Alpines are on softs. It looks like softs is the call, and we're seeing someone go into the pits now. That is Sunny and Maka. Race leader Sunny moves into the pits. Glenn is now the only driver that isn't called Zydox still on the track. So we've got 2 more making the switch. Sunny, of course, will lose a pit stop compared to some other drivers because he's pitting after the safety car. Crispy is looking like Albert Einstein, Michelangelo, and Ludwig van Beethoven all rolled into one, as he's got no penalties, didn't have the issues involving the safety car, and he's got clear daylight behind him with Glenn as his guard dog. Crispy is absolutely smurfing it, and he's almost got the blue to match it. Crispy might actually walk away with this win here, and Hodge, I might actually get P2. Although
guys,
Shadow
this is not a drill. This is not a drill.
Shadow's going to do his best to stop him here. Pyro, take over from me. My voice is gone.
Oh my god, this is not a drill. We will see if when Glenn is coming in, because it looks like it is just a soft tire now. And Zydox also, they just have to pit and just try to do the best and recover from this race as Sunny did. But this means there is no Sunny winning. It can all be because Hodgson is P2 now. Hodgson with P2, he is 6 seconds behind Crispy, but it can be Hodgson's win actually. It can actually happen, of course, if he has the pace to it. But Crispy also with the biggest brain and biggest balls I've ever seen on the soft compounds, and just being P1. I love this podium so far. Crispy, Hodgson, Shadowhopper. What the fuck is going on?
Who goes soft? Who goes soft while it's still raining and then comes back out? It's Crispy with the fastest lap. I'm sure Sunny will put that to bed soon, but Crispy has got an absolute giant lead on Sunny. You're looking at about 13 seconds without penalties. Glenn has absolutely messed this one up. Zydox is retired, he's gone. Is there going to be another safety car? It's a VSC. Been making an absolutely unorthodox Swedish line into the pits there, going for the Scandinavian flick on his way to pit. He was on fresh softs as he'd done his wing in. I don't know what's happened. Everyone somehow is still guaranteed points, even though Zydox is no longer in that group, having retired with less than 90% done. We've got Maka coming past Gaben, who it looks like has gone for a new wing in the pits. Alex, can we just share a few words for Glenn? What's he doing right now? Is he fighting stubbornness?
No, if I'm being generous, no, he isn't.
Okay.
He is completely out of this. The VSC is going to prolong his death slightly, but we're going to watch Glenn sink slowly down into the field. With Maka pitting under the VSC, or Gaben, sorry. Oh no, both of them. Glenn really needs to pit just to at least maybe try for fastest lap. He's not really gonna lose anything if he pits, so as you can see, he's really struggling out on track right now. The rain's completely stopped. It's not worked out for him. I think pitting under the safety car for a new set of inters was definitely int, and then choosing to double down on that stupid decision and stay out has really not paid dividends.
So yeah, fast-paced, great racecraft. Moving on from Glenn. He's staying out. He's staying out on the intermediate.
What are you doing?
What are you doing, my son? You've got the penalties. You've got enough time on those penalties to make a new season of Doctor Who. Like, he's not going to advance any positions. He looked like he was in a Fisher-Price car with the way that Sonny was going past him. I feel for anyone who called Project Ferrari, myself included, as the highest finishers, because right now they are in the last 3 spots in the running order, with a combined total of 23 seconds of penalties. Glenn treating the track as his personal plaything, and meanwhile, Pyro, take us through what Sonny's doing right now.
Yeah, Sonny is now mad because he lost his first place. He lost everything he built out for because he had an insane race with nothing going on for him. Perfect race, restarts, 2 safety car restarts, and now he's just mad because he has to somehow make the gap again with the bad decision he had, and currently is P4 again. Next up he has inside Shadowhopper, but he only has 3 laps to do so because, I mean, we are at the end of this now. He is putting out another purple sector, probably is gonna be the fastest lap from him, and it's not about the World Driver Champion anymore because he already had that in. It's just more about he won, he already had this, but one stupid decision later, and he's currently finding himself in P4, fighting for P3 with Shadowhopper, and not only that, he also has to overtake Hodgson, and then has another 6 seconds to Crispy, and that all within 3 laps. That is impossible, but he is completely focused on trying to minimize the damage at this point.
With that said, I'm scared of the Delta Sonny just threw down. His fastest, Crispy had the fastest lap, and then it was usurped by Hodge, Shadowhopper, and Sonny in a row. Sonny's lap was about 2.8 seconds faster than Crispy's, and with 9 seconds to make up in 3 laps, mathematically speaking, that could be really, really good as we get towards the closing stages. Sonny is absolutely going man mode on this. And Sonny likes the comparisons with Calm and his successful record. He might have an unflattering comparison with Calm here as the guy to get beaten by Hodgson due to a dubious late safety car in the Circuit of the Americas. But he's doing everything possible to overcome this. I missed it, Alex. Was there something to do with Glenn going into the pit?
Yeah, watching Glenn coming into the pit, as he finally decides to, about 4 laps too late, as we just see Sonny take what we thought was an inevitable P3 from Shadowhopper, looking to chase down Hodgson. Yeah, Glenn decides to come into the pit, and instead of coming into the pits normally like a normal person, he decides to fly straight into the wall. Fortunately kept his wheel on, but yeah, really a race Glenn wants to forget by the end of this.
Yeah, Glenn, the consistent tactician, he's been none of these today, and yeah, to lose your car is one thing. To lose your car after the snooze fest, that was the first 14 laps under full wets condition, yeah, even worse. Sonny with the fastest lap again, 1:33.5. I'm actually going to race director this and see what Crispy's last lap was. It was a 1:35.4, which means that Sonny is closing at 2 seconds per lap. That's great if he's 5 laps out, but this is the penultimate lap now. He's now just battling to overtake Hodgson. He's battling to get P2, and that's a complete difference from getting 1 second a lap on everyone at the start of this race. He has been well and truly Michael Massey'd with the safety car, and it's by Zydox as well, who's normally his teammate. So you love to see it for various reasons.
Not only that, but somebody is making Sunny the run for his money for this extra point, and it's Santa. Santa currently had the fastest lap by 1:10. He was faster. After Sunny put in the 1:33.5, Santa put in a 1:33.4. So not only that he already has a wound that he's not P1 anymore, Santa is putting the salt on his wound, and he does not even get the extra point if he doesn't put in another faster lap.
Yeah, Santa actually doing really well here. He's gaining hard on Monty. Santa went for the softs fairly late, if I recall correctly, but I don't have time to recall. I've just got fast, high-octane action in front of me. What was that send? He just went for Monty, and I don't know if there was a collision there, but that was frame perfect. It's like watching Faker in the LCK. He just absolutely went for him on that hairpin. It was impressive enough in the wets, but he's just done it in the dries in P5. Meanwhile, Sonny looking for Hodgson here, and he might do it on this straight. This is the start of the final lap. He's got this DRS zone here, and he's got the DRS later on coming down the main back straight in Sector 2. Both on very low battery at the moment. Sonny not able to send it on that corner. Crispy is looking like the race winner right now. It's his to lose. Right now, Hodge and Sonny are battling for P2. We've got Somther chasing down Whopper, but with the 3-second penalty on Somther, it looks like Whopper has got P4 wrapped up. Gaben getting the fastest lap with those softs, 133.1. Glenn in absolute ignominious defeat right now. And Hodge and Sonny is going to be really good for the second half of this lap.
I love this! And for Travis, because it seems like you just joined in, what happened was we had the big cojones Crispy pitting under the safety car onto the softs while it was still raining outside. And everyone else put in either the mediums like Hodgson or another set of fresh inters. During the safety car then, the track dried up and
Sorry to interrupt, Pyro, there's been a collision
good.
between Sonny and Hodgson. It's going to the end of the back straight, and it looks like Sonny has some wing damage. Hodgson on the inside here, Sonny not able to take any advantage. Sonny is like a man possessed. We've seen him destroy people's careers in positions like this. Hodge defending his position. He just got stuck in there. Called it the 50-50, and he's going to take home second place here in this Grand Prix. Not a penalty to his name. Sonny had the win, reaching out in front of him, but he grabbed the trophy, and it was only marshmallows. Crispy is going to be a new winner in VLF1. I believe the 17th unique winner in 109 races. He takes all the marbles today. Hodge getting P2 and loving Burn Mylander in the USA right now. Sonny completes the podium. Both Renaults getting into the top 6, something with some great late overtakes. Ferrari having a race to forget. And Alex, how do you feel about that one?
That second safety car was like watching a bunch of monkeys try and crack some peanuts. It really was interesting, shall we say, to watch. But overall, seeing Crispy win, I think that is over the season. I think that's deserved. He at least deserves one win during this season. So I'm really happy for Crispy to see him up there. I think it's been a long time coming for him.
Yeah, very well deserved from Crispy. Holy shit. And Hodgson putting out the elbows today. Okay, I like that. I like that way more than the bitch Hodge. But I did not expect it, to be honest. And all in all, what a fucking finish to this race. Holy shit.
Oh, look at that boy Crispy right there. See the smile on his virtual face. He's going to love that. And that is going to cement his claim to be P3 this season. He's his closest competitor was Gaben, about 26 points back. Zydok's a further 24 back, but he's got one hand on that third place position overall. Really solid. Hodge was at the bottom of the top 10. Miffy was really pushing him, but Hodge is 18 points there. We'll see him knock on the doors of Somther, and I'm sorry, but also Charmander Nerd, who's too busy looking at, what is it, automation or whatever plane game you're playing. But to be fair, Cody's, I'd be in your position as well. Oh, man. Looking at the full, taking some time to look at the full point scoring positions. Sonny obviously in P3. Renault getting P4 and P6, something with some late overtakes to get P5. Ferrari, they could have done so much better, but they've got 3 points finishes, which is more than you can say for any other project out there. Zydox isn't going to get a point despite being in P10 because of the retirement. Blaze and Franklin with retirements as well. Is there anyone to either of you, is there anyone you want to particularly highlight or say they've done well or they've done badly, or maybe you'd like to see what Travis or Calm could have done in this race?
I mean,
go on.
No, I was already to say that, I already said it. Crispy had the fucking huge ball today and a deserved race winner. I did not expect. I thought at first it was Inting completely on his side, putting that early on softs, but he was determined. He knew exactly what he did, and boom, a deserved race winner. That's all there is to say. That's all I want to say.
Fantastic. So at the top of the table, Sonny is already a World Drivers' Championship. We knew at the start of today. Travis is locked for P2 as well, with only 2 races to go. Crispy is going to put a lot of weight behind his bid for P3. It's going to take quite a lot to stop him. I don't know if it's even mathematically possible for anyone other than Gaben at this stage. Glenn and Maka still within that fight with Zydox for P5, and Gaben sort of hovering between them. As we get towards the end of the season, drivers outside the top 10 can fulfill those junior seats. So the project captains, Glenn, Travis, Blaze, I'm sure we'll be looking at drivers just outside the Miffys, the Shadow Hoppers, the Monties of this world. Even though Monty's a captain, can be bribed away. We'll see. That was a fantastic race. It was a bit snooze fest, a bit sleep for the first half. But then the real shit turned up as we got the calls coming in. We got the safety cars changed onto into second safety car, the penalties, the soft tyres, the absolute split between drivers. Hodge not telling between red and yellow like he's never seen a MasterCard advert. And then finally, Sonny having the trophy robbed away from him by Crispy taking that win. So fantastic performance by Crispy. Some great performances from all our drivers. And indeed, for those of you who predicted that Mercedes would finish higher, well done, you've got it. Crispy, as part of Project Mercedes, is going to win that particular battle. So enjoy those VL coins. And Pyro, anything you want to say to Hodgson? Who was it Hodgson or Fab still?
It was
Fabs.
Couchy. Yeah.
Anything you want to say to him?
Nah, I told you. I wrote it early on. Fuck Ferrari today. It's just not Ferrari's day today. So give me the points. Let's go.
Maybe we'll see more of Fabs next week in Mexico. Who knows? Wink, wink. Sign up, my friend. But yeah, thank you for coming tonight. Special thanks, as always, to Stillbend, who is slick with the production, but you just don't know it as much. Also providing the best pun of the night, which is normally our job on the desk. Fantastic to have Alex and Sandro with me casting, and I'd love to have them with me every race, but maybe they want to go score points. We'll see. For everyone, it's been great to have the United States Grand Prix here. Congratulations particularly to Crispy, who joins the ranks of VLF1 winners. He's the 17th unique winner in 109 races. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City for the 25th and penultimate Grand Prix, the Mexican Grand Prix in VLF1. Have a good night, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Play.
What you gonna do?